This is a download from Rutlland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutlland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. I'm here with Elizabeth Inman, Event Director of Land Rover Burley, and it seems like we've had the car parks about as full as previous years. I was expecting it to be slightly down on Friday, but didn't seem to be. It was, it seems to have been a healthy amount right throughout, and yesterday was just as huge as ever.
Yes, I think the event is definitely a must-attend event in everyone's calendar. Certainly the weather was a little bit cloudy first thing on Friday, but the shopping was booming on Friday, so perhaps people used the advantage of a nice cool day to come and do their shopping. We also thought the gates might be down because the schools have gone back, but I think nothing could be further from the truth. We've had a real buzz over the whole 4 days, and of course today has been absolutely glorious. The weather's been beautiful all day, the sun's shone, had an amazing result. Trade stands have done incredibly well over the 4 days, so we're very, very pleased.
From 4 to 5 next year, how did that actually come about? Obviously it means the traders have a longer week as well, but more trade.
That's right. We've been thinking about it for quite a while because, of course, the very first day of the competition starts on the Wednesday afternoon with a horse inspection to make sure the horses are fit and ready to go into the competition. And so many people are interested in that. We have a members' caravan site which is up and running from the Tuesday, so it seemed a natural thing to say, well, let's open the event up for a proper fifth day, and then we can put something else on as well and make an attractive day for everybody. So the trade stands, yes, will be running another day. It means they've all got to get here a day earlier in what's probably been a very, very busy show season, but they do such wonderful trade here. I think they're all actually very pleased about it.
And how would you reflect on this particular year?
Every year it just seems to get better and better, and you cast your mind back and think, well, how can it? It's just those little tweaks. But there's always some particularly wonderful happening in any one event that makes it special. I think this year's winner, Pippa Funnell, she won the Grand Slam in 2003, and to come back all these years later and actually now take the event again, it's just fabulous. We had 3 top British riders, first, second and third, and that's wonderful. We often have international riders in the lineup, and we didn't this year, so great to fly the British flag, I think.
And actually, how great is it for your team to be mentioned in the press conference by the riders, that they appreciate what goes on, what happens to make this happen?
Land Rover Burley is one of the biggest equestrian events in the world, and it's definitely the most recognised to be the most technically challenging cross-country course for the 3-day eventing element. So we are very much up there with the best, and with the 6th largest attended event last year. So it is a very significant sized event, and it's very important that we do look after our competitors, because we have to keep attracting the very, very top riders from all over the world. We have a first prize of £95,000 and a total prize pot of over £300,000. So we do have to look after them. It's not how we look after them with facilities, it's the warmth, the welcoming, just making the event friendly and making them enjoy the event and want to come back another year. And that really is a very easy thing to do, but sometimes can be overlooked.
And what about you personally? Is this a job that you're expecting to do for many years to come?
Now that's a question. I have done it for many, many years, and of course at the end of an event like this, when everything's gone so well, it really does recharge your batteries, and you think, this is such a wonderful job to have. It's a unique job. There aren't many jobs like this. There aren't many sporting events at this level, so to be able to have the opportunity to do it is just amazing. So certainly at the moment I'm not thinking of hanging my boots up.
We already know about next year's dates. Are you actually booking things for next year already?
Yes, we started to do that probably 2 months ago. We're thinking about what programmes we can put on over the 5 days of the event, primarily putting on something different on Wednesday. We've booked hotel accommodation. Of course, the one thing that we do bring into the local community is the restaurants and hotels and all the bars are booming over the period of the event. I know the other shops possibly aren't quite so enthusiastic about the horse trials, but I think perhaps they'd be surprised at how many people come back later on in the year. We have a lot of competitors here and their owners are often saying, we love Stamford, we haven't had time to visit it during the horse trials, we're going to come back later in the year. And I think that can be forgotten. And this year in particular, we've had a lot of American riders and American owners, also from New Zealand, but the Americans just love Stamford. And several have said, we're going to come back next spring to visit the town. So I think that's fantastic. And I hope that local people will appreciate that, because I do know and I do feel quite uncomfortable sometimes that I know we're not very popular with everybody, but we do actually bring quite a lot back into the community.
And I know Shop Stamford have been making inroads in town and also actually at Burley and Burley House, and they very much want to kind of market the whole experience because they kind of recognise it, I guess.
Yes, and we've been doing quite a lot with SKDC, South Castellan District Council, and that's been working quite well, so I think it's very good that we do that.
Excellent. Elizabeth Inman, congratulations on another fantastic event. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutlland Radio Podcast.
My name is Esme, my YouTube channel is This Esme, and I guess you could say I'm the world's largest equestrian YouTube channel. I'm getting about 12 million views a month, which still blows my mind today.
Blows my mind. How did that all start then for you?
Well, it all really started with my second horse, Casper. He was very young, very green, and so to sort of document our progress, I made like the odd video, uploaded it to YouTube, sort of like a video diary. From then on, I made little tutorials, things like that. I didn't really think much of it, and one of the videos that really took off and got lots of views was my how to tack up a horse video, and then I sort of realised, this can really help people. So for the summer after my GCSE exams, literally every single day I made a video, and I just absolutely loved it. And it wasn't really until like the last sort of year or two that it's what I'm doing full time now as a job, and I really, really enjoy it. So yeah.
So you literally go to all the horse events, and where do you put Burley in all that?
This is actually my second time here at Burley. It's definitely one of my favourites. Cross Country Day, oh my goodness, just watching the horses go over those fences, it's just spectacular. I also do a bit of work with the FEI, so I've been to lots of different international events with them. So the other week I was actually in Rotterdam, and then I'm actually going to Barcelona soon, so I'm very excited for that.
That is all a bit crazy. And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 18, so I've just finished my A-levels, and yeah, this is what I'm doing now.
And this is your job, that's just kind of happened by accident.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, but obviously having such a big audience, I feel like I've got a responsibility to like put out so much positivity, so something I really enjoy doing is charity work. So the other week I went up to World Horse Welfare, to one of their rehoming centres, and filmed a video with them talking about the amazing work they do. And then also later on in the year I'm working with the Brook charity, so I'm actually flying over to Senegal in Africa and seeing some of the work they do with working horses and donkeys in really poor conditions.
Wow, where does it go from here then?
Well, the plan is to just carry on doing YouTube, just having fun, see where it takes me. I'm also doing a lot of travelling at the moment and doing lots of different things with horses, so lots of different riding styles. About a month back I was actually in Iceland riding some Icelandic horses, which is so different to what I'm usually doing with like show jumping. So yeah, just travelling the world and filming horses basically. So.
And you've got a book out as well?
Yes, so it's a collaboration with Pony Magazine who helped me out with that, and the other day I actually went up to their offices and we weren't really expecting too many people to pre-order. In the end, over 1,500 people pre-ordered. So the plan was for them to come over with the books and me sign them at my house, but I actually had to go up to their offices to sign them, which was just wild, so yeah.
So if this hadn't have happened, what do you think you'd be doing?
I think I'd be working with horses anyway, so I was actually thinking of doing vet physio at uni. That might be something I'd go back to in the future, we'll just see, but at the moment I'm really enjoying doing whatever I can with horses and YouTube basically.
Esme, thanks very much for joining us here in Stamford. Where can people find you? What's the easiest way?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, This Esme, and on my Instagram at this_Esme, and thank you very much for having me.
Rutland Radio.
You must have, I know you've spoken to a myriad of people already, but just coming down from this moment is enormous, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, I know you hear people say surreal, but it's been a whirlwind the last 2 weeks and quite unbelievable, and it won't sink in yet, it really won't, but very special. I've had obviously a long career and a fabulous career, but it's been a very long time since my last big win, I think 14 years ago, so it's incredibly special, and I'm just so grateful to having such wonderful owners and such a wonderful horse as MGH Grafton Street.
And sum up Burley for you. This is our local event. We're told it's the third biggest sporting event in the country, F1, Wimbledon. Burley?
Well, Burley's very special to all of us. I mean, I've been coming here since I was a small girl. We used to always come up, and right from when I was 12, and I used to watch it. So it's very special. Yes, Badminton, Burley, how do you compare them? They're both premier events, but Burley has that lovely touch of end of the season, but there's a lot of warmth behind the whole team. I mean, it is fun, but it's very serious, but such a tremendous team with Liz Inman and her incredible team here, and what an amazing estate. We're very privileged to be able to ride in it.
Good for fun. Well, congratulations from all of us at Rutland Radio, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
We certainly have. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we've got 300 free children's places for children under 16 to take part in the Anna's Hope 5K fun run in the Perkins Great Eastern Run. So what a fantastic experience that the children could be involved in. It's all on the flat. It's 5K. It starts at the Embankment in Peterborough on October the 13th. And for any child that can raise over £30, which will help a child for 1 week, then we'd like to give you a free place. To do this, you need to get in touch with us at admin@annashope.co.uk, or I can give you my telephone number, which is 01 780 740 492, and you'll get a special code, and then you'll enter via the normal method through the Perkins Great Eastern Run, and it'll come up. It's free. We'll send you a fundraising pack as well, and it's about having fun. So if you want to dress as a fairy or some sort of superhero or whatever, then it would be great. Come and show us your chip pin at the end, because you get a little chip pin to go around your ankle, tells you how fast or slow you go, and then come and show us your medal at the end, and then we've got after party, loads and loads of cake, haven't we, Rob?
And tell us about the charity. I mean, we've talked about it many times on the radio. Whereabouts are you now?
We are based in Stamford, but any child that's been touched by a brain tumour now throughout the whole of the east of England can be supported by Anna's Hope. Anna is my little girl that I tragically lost through a brain tumour 13 years ago now. She was 3 years, 8 months. And to lose a child is just the most unbearable pain you can possibly endure, that I live with every day. But I'm trying to change a huge personal tragedy into a big fairy tale. And for those that you don't know, I'm standing here right now in a fairy outfit, and that's what I wear most of the time, because Anna loved fairies. So as brain tumours are now the biggest cancer killer of children and young people across this country, and we help to rehabilitate any child that's been unfortunately touched by a brain tumour, because they may never be the same person again. You see, Rob, it doesn't just touch the child, it affects the whole family, and so we do support groups as well, and we do short breaks, and we also fund some equipment the NHS don't want to fund.
Rutland Radio.
Here with Hilary Spires, who's written the latest shoestring production, which is going to be on at the Arts Centre in November. Tell us a little bit about December? September. Is it really that close?
Yes.
Okay, right. So ahead of the Georgian Festival, Hilary Spires is also involved in the latest shoestring production. Tell us what it is and what you've created there.
Okay, so this is a play about a family. I tend to write about women mainly, so it's a play about mothers and daughters. It's a comedy, and it's particularly about the things we don't say to people, and then come that time when finally there's an eruption and things are said that have never been said before, all sorts of things crawl out of the woodwork. It's a very small cast. I've been to some of the rehearsals, and it seems to me that they are playing the comedy beautifully. I think people will find it very entertaining, and also probably a lot of people will recognise themselves in the characters, because I think many families are very similar in the kinds of things that they do and don't say to each other.
And that's quite an intense thing, actually, for the actors to play, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And also I think they've been incredibly good at bringing out the kind of favouritism that you get in families that is never spoken about, and certain people realising that they're not quite at the top of the pecking order, that sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward, just as a member of the audience, to seeing it, but also obviously incredibly proud that it's being performed in my hometown.
So remind us of the title and when it's on.
It's called Ladybird, Ladybird, and it's on at Stamford Theatre.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
We've been talking about the Vitruvian Triathlon at Rutland Water with 1,000 athletes doing that half Ironman, including a double lap of Rutland Water on the bikes. There's the Rutland Ride and Stride, where there's lots of people cycling between churches. I'm one of them. But also tomorrow morning, starting at 5 at the Buttercross in Oakham, there's a group who are raising money for charity, and they're running the Rutland Round, the full 65 miles of it. Chris Jones, Richard Evans and Kevin Leamson. Morning, Kevin. How are you feeling with just a day to go?
Good morning. Slightly nervous. It's all suddenly starting to hit home. But yeah, looking forward to it. I've got two guys that I get on with really well, and we've done a couple of events before.
It's not a relay. All three of you are all doing the 65 miles.
Oh yeah, all doing it together. I think we'd struggle on our own, to be honest with you. It's great to have the company, and it's great to have two mates that constantly take the mickey out of me all the way, so yeah.
It relaxes you, I suppose, if nothing else. Tell us about the charity that you're doing it for.
Right, so this is Rutlland Healthcare Support. It used to be the Red Cross, and all the volunteers that used to run that have taken it over. And they're running their own charity now and providing mobility aids for anybody that needs them. And they do it at cost, so it reduces the amount of money that people have to pay for it. There's 43 volunteers, I think, that do it. I went down there the other day to meet them. Great bunch of people, and probably don't get much focus. So I thought, well, we're doing a fairly big challenge. We're lucky to be able to do it, and that we've got the mobility and the legs to be able to do it. And I thought, well, a good charity to do it would be for somebody that provides mobility for other people.
Rutlland Healthcare Support. So your route tomorrow then, is that going to be main roads?
No, it's all off-road. The Rutlland Round's something that is normally split into about 10 segments, and you normally do sort of one at a time over 10 weeks. Local running club do it regularly. Every year they do it. So we decided that it would be a mad and crazy idea to try and do it in one go.
Certainly is. How long do you think it's going to take?
That's a really good question. We've tried to estimate it, and I think the goal is to try and get back to Oakham before the pub shut. So I would imagine around sort of 9:30, 10 o'clock.
So starting at 5 tomorrow morning, if you're around the Buttercross, I mean, I don't think even the market traders are around the Buttercross at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning.
No, even them have got more sense than us to not get up at that crazy hour, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us and very best of luck. So you've got a Just Giving page if people would like to actually pledge some money to help you with this and raise awareness of a great charity as well, Rutlland Round in a Day, if they search for that.
Yeah, so if they search for Rutlland Healthcare Support within the Just Giving page, then they'll find it. And also, if anybody's got anything that they've used in the past, wheelchairs or other support aids that are sometimes hard to give back to hospitals because they're not always that easy to take, then they're always very willing to get stuff back.
We'll have to do more on them, I think. Rutlland Healthcare Support and Kevin Leames, thanks for joining us, and good luck to you, Chris Jones and Richard Evans, on your challenge tomorrow morning.
Thanks very much, and if anybody wants to join us and cheer us on along the route, then we'll be very happy to see people.
Rutlland Radio.
So my name's Sally Gooding, I'm head teacher at Empingham Primary School.
And we're looking out over the field, over the playground, and... don't know what he said. Tell us about this new track. You can kind of see the perimeter of it. This is kind of a new initiative that a lot of schools are joining in with. What a difference is it going to make to you?
So this is going to be a difference because we're really lucky as a school to have large playgrounds and a large grass area. But when that grass area is wet for a large percentage of the time in the country we live in, it's going to give those children that opportunity to still run at length without banging into people. So it's access to running, short distances and long distances, but still on the field, out of the way of the other people playing other games.
And this national initiative is all about running a mile. I mean, that's not necessarily practical for a 4-year-old to do, but are there a certain amount of laps that they can achieve on this course?
Yeah, so 14 laps makes a mile. And our challenge would be that the children do challenge themselves to achieving that in a certain amount of time. And certainly that's a competition that we're going to be starting once the track's embedded and open today. But yes, that initiative is just part of the reason why we got the track.
And presumably you had to pay for this and get money from somewhere. Where did that come from?
So we've been saving up for about 4 years. We've used the sport premium that comes to schools, which the government doubled actually recently. So we've been able to use some of that, which we've saved up. But also our magnificent PFA have contributed £4,000 towards this track, which has made it possible sooner. So that's why we're really pleased.
So can you tell us what the total cost is then of it?
So the cost of the track was just under £15,000. We're hoping it sustains our children through a whole host of years, and it's not just going to last, we're hoping it lasts for a long time with that £15,000, but also it's giving the children more things to do at break time and help children who are athletes train if they want to and run if they want to and help others get better at that running.
And you also see that maybe those who aren't necessarily sporty, just getting out and doing a bit will help their concentration and their learning as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the initiative, really. We recognise that physical activity is not just good for your physical self, but your mental self. And we've already seen children running around it at the before school, choosing to do that. And children know that physical exercise makes them feel better, but also gives them a sense of well-being, and also they're ready to learn. So there's an awful lot of benefits that aren't necessarily just about the physical exercise that children are gaining from an early age and getting into really good habits that they realise that as they get older they could do to look after themselves physically and mentally.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutlland Radio Podcast.
So, as you probably heard and seen, because there's the illuminated signs around Barnsdale, the A606 is going to be closed near Oakham for a fortnight starting on Monday. That's led to quite a few people saying, well, where am I going to go? How long is it closed? It closed overnight. I have someone who will be able to tell us all that, and it's Councillor Lucy Stevenson who looks after highways at Rutland County Council. So, Lucy, this is something, I guess, that has to happen. I know there have been loose chippings scattered before to keep the road surface going, but this is a full resurface and a fortnight to do it.
Yes, that's right, Rob. It hasn't been done for 30 years. Obviously, nobody likes the road work, but this work really is essential. It prevents the road falling into disrepair, potholes, etc., etc. And fingers crossed, we're using very robust resurfacing materials, so it will last for another 30 to 40 years, which is a good news story, obviously not brilliant for the next couple of weeks.
So, full diversion from Barnsdale Crossroads down to the Oakham bypass, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And I would say to listeners, do go on to roadworks.org. That's a very, very handy, user-friendly piece of kit where you put in the area that you think there might be a diversion, and it will give you a very clear route. And, of course, we've got our diversion signs up.
So I guess probably the easiest way would be to head via Burley into Oakham and use the B668 instead.
Yes, it is. And do follow the diversion signs. If you're new to the area, do go on to roadworks.org.
Do you think it might reopen overnight? I mean, I'm thinking of myself here, driving in the dark before the sun comes up. Will I be able to get in still?
Unfortunately, no, you won't be able to get in because the works are so extensive. Unfortunately, they cannot reopen it overnight. So it is a case of getting organised with your route, cursing quietly and getting on with it, I'm afraid.
So it all starts on Monday, and then 2 weeks' time we'll have a brand new shiny road surface.
And hopefully everybody will be thrilled with that. And the road it starts at 7:30 on Monday, the 16th of September.
7:30. So I'll be able to get in on Monday anyway. Thank you for that. Make sure they don't start early.
7:30 a.m, Rob.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. So Monday the 23rd of September is a big day for Burley. How could it possibly be a big day? 9 o'clock Monday morning is the time that the tickets will start to go on sale, if you're not a friend of Burley, for Classic Ibiza. How is this going to work, Joe?
So basically we're launching the tickets this morning at 9 o'clock, and those tickets, we've got a very small number of early bird tickets, which is £39.50 range, and then they'll go into the early bird ones, which are a little bit more expensive at £42, and then they'll go into the standard ones. So the quicker you get there, the cheaper your tickets will be. Basically, they're on sale this morning on the Burley website, burley.co.uk. Follow the links from our homepage and you'll get there.
And what kind of concert is this going to be? This is open air?
Absolutely. So it's an open air picnic concert, a bit like the Battle Proms or the other concerts people are used to coming to at Burley, with the backdrop of Burley, but this is classic Ibiza dance hits for a family audience. So you can bring your picnic, you can bring your children, you can dance the night away, or you can come on your own and relive your youth. It's entirely up to you.
So this is an orchestra playing it live. These obviously samples worked in and stuff like that. All the big hits that you would know?
Absolutely. So all the big clubbing hits, and it starts with a sort of chill out zone, a bit like the chill out bars in Ibiza. So you can sit there and have your drink as the sun goes down. And then there's Goldie Rocks, who comes on and does his set, accompanied by the orchestra. Lots of strobe lighting, everything you would expect from a great night out.
It sounds like the kind of thing that would really fit at Burley, because you wouldn't necessarily put, the party aisle together with here.
Absolutely, but I think for those of us who are a certain age, you can no longer go clubbing in Ibiza itself. This is the next best thing. You enjoy the outside, you enjoy the wonderful location that you're in, but at the same time you can enjoy that bit of fun and frivolity that you get when you're on holiday.
And it's for one night only, the 1st of August next year?
Absolutely, Saturday the 1st of August 2020, one night only.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutlland Radio Podcast.
Caris.
Maggie.
Jane.
And tell us why you're here today and what kind of response you've had.
We're here today because we're here in solidarity with the climate strike, which was originally started by students doing a walkout for the environment and to raise awareness about climate breakdown. So we're here really in solidarity with them, and our aim really is to engage the public in the very serious issue of climate breakdown that's occurring.
So what sort of reaction are you getting? I mean, there's a fair few people here, aren't there, really, when we're spreading across 2 or 3 shops?
Yeah, I've been here every Friday since May. I'm doing it for my grandchildren, and I'm amazed by today's turnout, and it's great to see the youngsters here. And hopefully that next Friday we'll still see people coming.
And if there was just a few things that people could do to help themselves and help the planet, what would you like to say to them? What would you like them to start with, say?
We have a poster here with 7 things to reduce your carbon footprint. Stop or reduce the amount of red meat you eat. Drive less. Plant a garden with a tree. Line dry your clothes rather than use the tumble dryer. Unplug devices. Don't buy fast fashion. Eat local, organic, and waste less. We also would like to see strong leadership from national government, but also locally, district council, town council.
Rutland Radio.
What would you normally be doing on a Friday lunchtime?
I'd normally be in life drawing at New College Stamford.
And you've decided to not be at college today to join this climate change?
We got our lecturer has sort of given us permission to sort of be here to do this.
And how do you feel being part of it? Do you feel like you're part of the crowd or against the crowd, really, in terms of public opinion?
Well, we're getting a lot of people who are sort of saying good job, well done, and then there is the odd one or two who are like, oh, find something better to do, you should be in college, these idiots are in the way.
And what do you personally feel about that and about the future?
I think if we don't, we're really on our last legs right now in terms of climate, and I feel like if people don't start listening to the science behind it now, then we're just going to ruin this planet, because all the signs are saying, we haven't got a planet B, so we need to sort it out now.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
So the official opening of the new teal hide at Rutland Water at Linden Nature Reserve has just taken place. I'm here with Nick Baker, who cut the ribbon, along with a whole host of children, many of which are actually Rutland Osprey ambassadors here. Just hearing the buzz inside, the bird race going on at the moment, it's not normally the sound that you would hear when people are bird watching, but actually you're so far away, the birds would never hear it.
That's right. I mean, it's there's this sort of bird hide etiquette that is all that kind of, you've got to be quiet and you've got to open everything really slowly so it doesn't squeak and scare everything off. But actually, whilst that is true in many places, anything, it doesn't matter whether it's a teal hide like this one, which stands for Teaching, Education and Learning, which I thought was quite neat. Any hide, if kids come in, you have to encourage them. Okay, they might be a bit noisy, but that goes with enthusiasm. It's a really special thing, and getting anyone, any young person into a bird hide and understanding or just being exposed to the wonders of the natural world has to be encouraged one way or the other. And this is an example, and it is brilliant. I mean, this is most exciting for me. I do a lot of wildlife-y type things. I open things and cut ribbons, and it's always a pleasure when there's this many young folk involved, because that's the most important thing. We are losing our connection with nature. Especially the younger generations and the generation above them. That's one of the reasons. It's a slow disconnect that goes on generation by generation. So anything we can do to reverse that is a good thing, and this is doing just that right now, as you can hear.
And we know that from Rutland Water and the Bird Fair, and from the fact that we see you at the Bird Fair every single year, across all the days, the Osprey cruises, everything. You know a lot about this reserve, despite the fact that you travel here and it's not near your home.
No, well, I live down in the southwest. I live on Dartmoor, but of course the Bird Fair is this amazing magnet that attracts wildlife people, natural history people from all over the world once a year. So that's my annual pilgrimage to the Bird Fair. I've missed very few since I even knew of its existence. What's happened in recent years, though, is it's got bigger and busier, which means I have less chance to do what I used to do when I came up here, which is to go bird watching. So to actually come up here and be involved with the opening of such an important hide, the teal hide, might give me an opportunity later to sneak off and actually do some bird watching myself. And of course, it's not just birds. We talk about birds all the time. They're the ambassadors for the rest of the natural world. This place is heaving with all manner of great insect life. And at this time of year, dragonflies are very high on my list of things to look out for. But yeah, it's a cracking place. I think I don't know anywhere where the density of hides is higher. I mean, 30 plus hides in such a small area. It just goes to say it's such a purpose-built nature reserve. It's fit for purpose at every level, and that's one of the reasons I love coming back here, because it's very user-friendly.
And from the ospreys that we can see out the window, and they're obviously starting to leave here, bound for Senegal. But as you say, dragonflies, butterflies just seem to have been so prevalent this year.
Yes, it's been a reasonable year for some species. Obviously, it's all about the weather, and when you get the sunny weather, and if it hits their life cycle at the right spot, you'll get an increase in that species. So the back end of the year, we've got lots of our vanessed butterflies, the butterflies that overwinter. We've had a lot of migrants this year as well, so painted ladies, it's been a very famous year for those. But at this moment, we're seeing lots of red admirals, peacocks, small tortoiseshells, painted ladies, and these are the species that the painted ladies will head back south. They'll actually migrate south. They don't overwinter in this country. But all the others are, they're making the most of the last late season nectar. Ivy in particular is a very, very important flower for them, they'll be tucking themselves up for the winter very soon. So yeah, it's a brilliant sort of Indian summer we're having. Well, certainly today, right at the end of the year, and it's the perfect time to be out and enjoying it.
You're here at the Teal Hide this afternoon, but then also you're at the reserve a little bit later as well.
That's right. Yeah, I've been invited to speak at the training centre about connecting with nature. Actually, so it's about rewilding, but rewilding as in rewilding our own selves, our own ability to connect to nature, because we all think it's some kind of guru-led existence, and that you've got to have put in years and years of training to be able to perceive the thing. But it's not rocket science. It's very easy. You just need to train yourself, and it's a very quick fix. Very quickly you start getting a buzz out of what you're working on. So my talk's going to be all about how we go through the senses and how we actually can reconnect with nature, how we notice it, and therefore how we can value it. And of course, when you value it, you look after it, and that's that completes the cycle.
Nick Baker, pleasure to see you here at Rutland Water again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me an excuse to come back.
Rutland Radio.
Jolien, Eloise.
And what have you found over half an hour of looking out of the teal hide here today?
Not much. I managed to find a lesser black-backed gull.
Do you birdwatch fairly regularly?
Yes, quite a lot. Because I really do love animals, and it's amazing how they survive in the outdoors.
I found a cormorant, a great crested grief, but it was quite young, a great black-backed gull, and I think that's it.
And how long does it take to kind of learn what you're looking at?
Normally you look at a chart or ask one of the experts.
I look at my books a lot, so I do know quite a lot of the birds.
How is this facility, the teal hide here?
I think it's really good because it's got a nice view, and I think I'm going to come here quite a lot.
It's good for learning and educational things for like schools and school groups that come on trips.
26 different species in half an hour. That says something, doesn't it? Isn't that incredible?
It's quite a lot. I expected less than 26, because in half an hour that's a lot of birds. Yeah.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Lee from?
Alice Weaver.
Now, Lee, you've spent a year supporting the Lord Lieutenant. What kind of things have you been up to?
You do a lot of community events, so some of the ones that I've done, they are semi-military based, but a lot of them are based around the Rutland community. You do flag-raising events, you attend parades and such things like that for events such as Memorial Days and Battle of Britain Parade. So you do a lot of sort of high-tier events and you get to meet a lot of high-class people as well.
And how do you feel stepping into the role?
Ooh, slightly nervous, but I'm more than eager to get started, find out new things to do and just have fun and give back to the ATC community.
And what about the Air Cadets? Tell us about the sort of things you get up to. How long have you been in it?
I've only been in for just under 3 years now. We do plenty. We do shooting, we do DFVs, climbing and fieldcraft, and there's such a wide variety of things to do, so much more than I thought there was originally.
In terms of Air Cadets, do you get to fly as well?
We do. I myself am fortunate enough to be one of the people that has done a higher level of flying than most. So we do powered flying and we do gliding. Some people get one or the other. I've been fortunate to do both to a higher standard. We often do those at Royal Air Force bases around the country. For us, it's either Cranwell or Wittering at the moment, so that's always a really good option to get onto.
Do you ultimately want to have a career in the RAF?
I do, yes. I'm currently in the application process myself, so I'm waiting to hear back from the Air Force to see when I can get in. But I have applied and I'm just waiting to hear from them.
And what's your ultimate plan?
It all goes down, I think, to the type of person you are. I'm not a desk job person, so the job I've applied for is an aircrew role, so I want to be out there flying around. It's also humanitarian aid, so I like to help people that aren't fortunate in natural disaster and things like that, and that's partly what this role is. It's humanitarian aid, it's also a combat role, and it's also flying, and it's also not a desk job. So that was really appealing to me.
Do you ultimately want to join the Royal Air Force?
I do. I want to go into dog handling in the RAF, which hopefully is very fulfilling and has got plenty to do. I've just as well started the application process, but I'm sure there's much to learn and get started with.
Very best of luck. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Thank you very much.
Rutland Radio.
So I'm sitting with Lorna Gray of Oakham. She's going on the world's fastest zip wire in Wales tomorrow for the charity Make-A-Wish UK. Tell me why you're doing this, Lorna.
Well, I'd like to say because I can, and I think that's quite important here, because a lot of the children that I visit who have got critical illnesses will never have this opportunity. And I've found out now that I can raise enough money to hopefully sponsor a wish. And I'm delighted to say that that's been agreed. And my wish child, who's called Amelia, has agreed also. So we're really not looking forward to it, but it'll be wonderful when we've done it all, hopefully, fingers crossed.
What's this about you don't like heights? Can you not choose like a sponsored walk, or are you trying to get out of your comfort zone or something? A zip wire is crazy.
I absolutely do want to get out of my comfort zone, because I have always said that if you want to do something that's sponsored, it must be something you are not happy doing. My husband desperately wants me to do a sponsored silence, but I know for a fact that would be totally impossible. So yes, a zip wire, it just popped up and I thought, why not do it? And I've now got 8 others joining me, and I have to add my husband and making him do it as well. So yes, I'm getting my own back.
And finally, why are you doing this? What's motivating you?
I visited a young lady called Amelia. Amelia is now 18, and I have found out that Make-A-Wish can now sponsor a wish, and I put this through to the other 8 people that are doing the zip wire, and we are hoping, beyond hope, that we can raise enough money to grant Amelia's wish and put that down to us, and I'd be very proud to do so. Amelia is now 18. She's a very intelligent young lady, and she liked festivals, so she could have met someone famous, one of her famous performers. She likes going on holiday. She could have gone on a lovely European holiday. She's going to uni soon. She could have got a high-tech computer to take to uni with her. But no, what Amelia wants to do is do something called a TED Talk. I had to look it up. I had no idea what that meant. But basically, she wants to take a lecture, which will go online, to tell people about the words used in cancer, a lot of which she thinks are inappropriate. For instance, she hates the term fighting cancer. You don't fight it, you have to beat it. and she is just fantastic. And that's what she wants to do, and I want to be able to raise enough money for her to do that.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck. What is the next challenge for you, Lorna?
Well, I would like to say Alan's threatened me to do the sponsored silence, but I know that's impossible. I would love to do a wing walk when I'm 70. I do one every sort of daft thing every 5 years now for the major birthdays. I've got this one in a little bit early because I'm not 70 yet. But I think if I have to do a wing walk, I've got to lose quite a bit of weight. So I might just stroll around the village in Rutland. You won't tell anybody and I won't.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutlland Radio Podcast.
Elby Williamson.
Felix Baird.
Anthony Lees. You two have both actually been supporting the Lord Lieutenant over the last year.
Yep.
What's been the biggest memory for you?
For me, it was definitely Remembrance Parade. I just loved the atmosphere, which was really nice. And I also had the pleasure to go to a Remembrance concert with the Lord Lieutenant, and I got the pleasure to speak there and do a reading, which was really nice.
What does it mean to support the Lord Lieutenant? How is that selected?
The selection's done between all of the cadets and the different services within Rutland, and the contingent commanders and the cadet staff put forwards people that they think would be good to represent, so that have done a variety of activities, which then goes to a selection board within the Leicestershire and North Rutland cadets, and they pick the people who they feel should do it best.
How are you feeling as you're about to be invested?
Really nervous at the moment. Looking forward to what's in store to happen. Obviously hearing stories from those two, really looking forward to it.
The Army Cadets, they're based in Rutland?
Yeah, I'm based in St George's Detachment, so just in Edith Weston, so not too far from here.
And is that open only to those actually on the base, or is it the catchment of the whole county?
It's open to everyone. Certain schools like Hatmas College, Uppingham Community College, some in Stamford also like to come down. But it's open to everyone as long as you're close to the area and you can come down. There's also one in Oakham as well.
What do the Army Cadets get up to typically?
A lot of things. Most of the weekends we've got fieldcraft. We've also got drill, what's quite a big one as well, obviously to represent the Army. We've got shooting. We train people to do first aid, so most of the people in uniforms now know how to do first aid, what's a really good trick to have in the future.
And what's your eventual plan? Would you like to actually go into the Army?
Yes, in about 3 years' time I'm hoping to go into the Army and join the REME. So the Cat Badge I am now and the cadets hopefully going to join that regiment.
And what about this evening? This is all about engaging more people in the cadets. Would you encourage people to join or find out at least?
Definitely, yeah. Not much is really said about the cadets, so all I can say is come down, start one night, and you'll see like the enjoyment from everyone. New friends are made that stick with you for life. It's completely different to anything else that I can point you to, so I'd say give it a try. If it's not for you, then it's not for you, but most of the time it is for everyone.
Rutland Radio.
So here at Stanford in Bloom's annual awards evening, I'm here with Anne Ellis. The two things I suppose that you wanted to achieve from In Bloom is to include as many people as possible, because you gave out awards to so many different businesses, and also for people not to just think of the day but to think of the season, the year.
That was true, and so I think we did give awards to people that had been working for longer, who may not have won the points that the judges gave them. I'm afraid we made an arbitrary decision. I worked with Mary from the tourist office, and we have lots of natters about these things, and that's what we thought it was better to share. Well, the pleasure, really, of doing it, not just winning it, and that's what we did.
And the way you see it in Bloom, it does continue through the year. You're looking to Christmas now.
Yes, we're hoping to we're trying to get the chairs back to headquarters as soon as we can, the ones that have gone over, and there's some that are still happily flowering. And then we will do them, holly and ivy, really, Christmas roses, that sort of thing. Nothing, too ambitious and probably not colourful, but the chairs might be colourful. But, we think we should do it. And Ironmonger Street's really happy to do that. And other people have given us more chairs. And Neil Scholes at Second to None has got some old chairs saved for us. So we're getting a nice little stock together. And they take quite a bit of preparation with their linings of chicken wire, which is quite hard on the skin. It's quite hard to do, but Yvonne Wagstaff works well, and the volunteers come in and hammer a bit and glue things down and line them and then fill them with soil, and somebody else carries them to their destination.
And how do you feel reflecting on the award itself? I know you say it's not all about that award. But
it just reflects that enough people that are taking part are achieving something, and that's why I worked from the judges' sheet tonight to talk to everybody, to make them realise that they come and judge the town, they judge everything. You know, they didn't think it was too weedy, you know, it wasn't spotless, but generally free from that sort of thing.
And the Crown got gold.
Yes, I mean, he's had gold at Oakham, and I was pleased for him because it does look spectacular. And the judges loved it because we always end there. And now Need Pubs have offered to sponsor us, and that helps as well, as, you know, because they're very helpful. But he wants to develop another area in town, so we'll move on and do something else. But there's a lot of cooperation now, you know, people are looking at the sheep market, and so I talked to the councillors about that, or urban group. I talked to everybody. And Mindspace's community garden, I talked to them. There's a guy called Stephen Twine, and I see him down there, and we talk about where that's going and how that's happening. And that happened because the judge from last year, Chris Young, gave a talk about the benefits to mental health about gardening, and he knew that Mindspace were doing interesting things, so I introduced them to each other, and he offered to do a plan, and so that's what it's all about, is everybody doing things. And then we've got Altec volunteers come to us, which the firm pays them for 2 hours in an afternoon. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 6 of them, but we get quite a lot done when they're there, and they're a bit younger and fitter than the rest of us, so that all helps, you know.
And are you looking for volunteers to help with working parties and that kind of thing?
Yes, we need a lot more volunteers because we're of a certain age, some newly retired, and interestingly, they bring other skills. One of the husbands of a volunteer had been on a course to be a pruner, so he pruned the cherry tree in the high street for us. Somebody says, "Oh no, I've done a certificate in that," and then somebody else has done something else new about how to preserve the benches or something. So you call on everybody's skills. But you need a lot, because as tonight, at this moment, I've got one in Japan, one in Kenya, one in Scotland. We're all movers and doers, and therefore I need more of everybody. You know, that's all. It's as simple as that. And they all do other things, particularly keep fit. So they go, "I can't come because it's Pilates," which always makes me laugh. I think, no, just garden. You know. But they do all do other things, or just cycle across Germany or something, you know. They all just mad things. So it's the time they've got. They fit in with the time. And then a working party, you don't need many more than 4 to actually achieve 200% of what you would have done with 2. It's an amazing development that we notice that you just need in one extra pair of hands, and what you achieve, somebody to pick up, somebody to hold the bag, and one to shovel it in, it's all done in much quicker time. So that's what we like. And then people do it in their own time when they're not at Pilates or not knitting and nattering or whatever it is they're not doing. They say, "Well, I can do Wednesday," so then I have to work out what we're doing on the Wednesday. But anybody can do it. There's a lady tonight who would have come. She is the mother of one of our volunteers. The volunteer's a teacher, so she hasn't got the same regular daytime, and her mother, unfortunately, is just looking after a sick relative at the moment, but they look after a bed in town completely on their own, you know. That's what they do in their own time. They don't have to join us. So anybody can do it. And another group of people look after the basket down near the hospital, the ones that live nearby. That's what it's about.
Rutland Radio's Best Bits on the podcast.
So last night was Stamford in Bloom's annual awards night. Stamford in Bloom went up from silver to silver gilt, but many businesses got awards last night. Bunny Guinness presented the awards. It is such a town thing, isn't it? So many businesses actually getting involved.
And it's really good because it just makes, you know, when you come into the town and you see these really good displays, it just makes all the difference. It makes your whole trip to the town much more enjoyable. And that's what we need, isn't it? We need to encourage more people to come into the towns and don't go on the internet so much.
And this is your local town. You've seen it grow, you've seen it develop. Isn't it fantastic that the In Bloom competition is now back in the town as well.
Yes, only its second year, and I think they did amazingly, because the way they approached it with the chairs, all different chairs, a Bauhaus chair, a gilt chair, and then they planted them and they planted the seat, and I thought that was so original. I've never seen that before, and all the plantings were different, all the chairs were different, but because they were all chairs, it looked cohesive. So you went on to the next shop and thought, oh, I wonder what they've done, and oh, look at that one over there. So it pulled it together, yet it was individual, and it wasn't at all tacky, and it was just some great ideas out there, really good.
And what does In Bloom, you think, do for the country? Because you speak from a gardening perspective of going all over to the most fantastic gardens, meeting people who are passionate about gardening all over the country, and In Bloom crops up so much.
I think it brings communities together a lot, and it makes you think in your town what green spaces you've got. And there are often little pockets that have been just totally neglected, and it just takes someone to say, well, what about that? Can we take ownership of that? Can we do something? And it makes such a difference, because it gives everybody an aim, and of course it brings in the insects, the birds and the wildlife on a small scale, and we're all getting worried that we're living in concrete jungles. So I think it's a win-win situation, and a lot of people contribute, whether it's money or effort or getting stuff or taking stuff around or ideas or maintenance, and to have a town that you're proud of and you want to show off. And I feel like that about Stanford. I mentioned it on Gardener's Question Time because I was really proud. I thought they'd done such a fantastic job.
And from the trends that you've seen through garden design, are we kind of going back to encouraging wildlife into our gardens more than ever now?
Very much, aren't we? I remember sort of the first wildlife garden at Chelsea was something like 1970 that I remember, or it might have been even a wee bit earlier. And it was Chris Baines did it, and he sort of dug things up from his garden and did it on, and he didn't have massive concrete and slabs and a huge budget. He just grew stuff in his garden and moved it there, and it caused such an outcry. And slowly it's gathered momentum, and in the last 5 years it's just really taken off. I think climate change and the increase in everything being developed has made people want to swing the other way, and I think it's only going to get better and better. And the more people that latch onto it and realise how fulfilling it is, just even if it's a window box or a little space you've got just to green up, it just all adds up. It's like having filling stations, around. So for insects, they could just pop into a little back garden, pop into a window box, all the way around. So they've got this sort of green network or corridor, and it's vital, really important.
Ronnie Guinness, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio this evening.
Pleasure.
Rutland Radio.
So tomorrow, yet again, at Oakham Castle, there is 6 hours of free music. You can drop in, you can zone out, you can be there for the whole 6 hours and enjoy it. But the main point is to donate to Dementia UK. Harriet Flather set up a few years ago fundraising for Dementia UK. You wanted to do £5,000.
Yes,
ultimately.
That's right. Yeah, I think I'm on about 3,200 now, and the previous 2 musicathons have raised £1,500 between them. So I'm hoping to get closer to that target this year.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? You've also done various sort of drop-ins where you've been fundraising along the way just to kind of top things up a bit.
Yeah, I've done some busking. I played at Tesco. I play at the castle quite a lot and things like that. So there's always something in the pipeline for raising more money.
Now, this year's musicathon, you've literally doubled it. You've got 2 stages.
Yes, it's a big one. I think we've got 40 musicians throughout the day, some solo, some in groups. So we've got like the Oakham Show Choir, Rutland Saxophone Ensemble. We've got a new band called the Jimmy James Band. This is our first gig. But then we've got solos like myself, I'm playing, we've got David Graham. There's plenty throughout the day.
And literally people can drop in at any point. They can drop in mid-song. They shouldn't feel bad just to kind of creep in by the castle doors there and watch the lock. That's the thing, isn't it? The noisy lock.
Yes, yeah. We keep the doors open for that reason.
Oh, right, perfect, yeah.
But yeah, it's really relaxed atmosphere. There'll always be music going on, but yeah, just drop in, drop out. There's going to be a tombola this year as well, and Kavanagh's are bringing tea and cake for people to buy as well. All the proceeds for that will go towards Dementia UK as well.
And why was it that you decided to actually raise money for Dementia UK?
My grandmother had dementia, and when she did, I didn't actually know anything about the charity. And it's since I've started fundraising for them, actually, and looking into more of what they do, that I think we really could have benefited from their work as a family. They support families even after the loved one has passed away, perhaps, and they're a shoulder to cry on and just a listening ear, really.
Because it's just one of those conditions that it's so hard to figure out.
It is, and we don't even know why it happens. There's so little known about it, and it affects everybody differently. I think we were quite lucky in many ways, but I know that it is so difficult for families. And it's not selective. It can choose anyone of any race, age, anything.
Absolutely. Well, please do support it tomorrow, the Musicathon, the third and possibly final Musicathon, raising money for Dementia UK. And Harriet Flather, thanks for joining us. It's 10 till 4, Oakham Castle tomorrow.
Yeah.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
So this weekend at Rutland Water Garden Nursery, there's something really special, which if you fly over Rutland, soon you'll be able to see. I'm here with Trevor Ellis, who now, actually, you own this garden centre, don't you? Yeah, you've taken it on.
Yeah, and we're going to plant a massive horseshoe, Rutland horseshoe, with daffodils, about 2 tonnes. So you can tell by that it's fairly big, and you should be able to see it quite well from the sky and hopefully from the other side of Rutland Water.
So what sort of time are you doing it?
We're doing it all day on Sunday. Proper planter coming in to do it, because obviously you wouldn't want to do it by hand.
Well, will you get an aerial shot? Will you? Actually?
We will do, yeah. And obviously people can look at it being planted. There won't be a lot to see, but it's interesting. But then they can see next February when they all start, and we should have about three months, we think, of flowering. So we're putting 3 sorts of daffodils in. Yeah. So there's lots of things as well. Free bulbs for every child that comes up as part of a charity run by the HTA, and lots of things to see. A few stall holders, and good day out.
That's all day Sunday
and Saturday as well. Yeah, but Sunday's the planting. So
Rutland Radio.
Thank you, Jen. I'm here with Monica King at Welly's coffee shop, which is part of Rutland Water Garden Nursery at Manton. And they were only going to do their Macmillan event for this morning, but they've still got a bit left. They're going to basically keep it open for as long as the cafe's open today, till 4:30. Monica King's the manager here. How's it gone today?
It's gone really, really well, actually. We've had quite a lot of people over from Manton Retirement Home as well, just down the road. But no, it's been phenomenally good. Some locals have popped in as well. And yes, and all the staff have managed to bake some goodies for us, which is lovely.
We need to mention Sophie, Star Baker.
Indeed, little Sophie Holmes.
So which one's
It's the one at the back there, the strawberry and chocolate.
Yes,
so
I see,
yes, her first
absolutely.
attempt ever, but she did really, really well, and it's actually sold the most out of all of them today. So yes, really good.
So there's still a good choice left, and I guess at the end of the day, it's all for an amazing cause.
It is definitely, most definitely. So we've actually been cheeky, and we've had the box up for about the last week or so, just to try and get in anything that we can do, really, just to go towards it. So yes.
Well done for your efforts. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
No problems at all. Thank you.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm here with Michael Cross, who's Head of Arts at South Kesteven District Council. And, here we are for the Big Georgian weekend, the 4th time it's happened. Everything is happening apart from the tethered balloon rides due to the winds, I guess.
That's right. We're down at the Meadows this morning. And, yes, the only thing that's been sacrificed thus far are the balloon rides. We've had advice from the pilot most of the week and been watching the weather. But anyway, yesterday we decided it was going to be blustery today a little bit. But we have a fine day and everything else is all ready to go. We're getting the last few bits together now, but we're ready.
Loads of free entertainment on the Meadows, which is behind us here.
Yes, we've got pony rides, we've got Punch and Judy, lots of reenactment going on, and we're really pleased that our sponsors, Peter Rowdy, out here as well, and we've got some wonderful cars to look at. So lots of things to interest lots of different people. Fairground rides, really great place for the family. And I say, get the sunshine out later on, warm us up a bit, be lovely.
And tonight, the Lantern Parade, we were expecting about 500 balloons in it, aren't we?
Well, we've been making these lanterns, or children across the district have been making these lanterns for several weeks now, and we've got a lot of them stacked in St Mary's Church, which we're about to decant elsewhere, ready for collection later on today. But yes, lots and lots. So that will be quite spectacular. And then a walk through Stamford, up to Broad Street, up to Brown's Hospital, and then a really exciting, wonderful piece of digital mapping that we've had commissioned. So it'll be great.
I do remember the last one, actually, which was projected on All Saints Church. It was absolutely breathtaking. So Brands Hospital, Broad Street is where it's going to end up this time.
Absolutely, and there'll be Ibrahim Baroque playing, a bit of music from the period as well for it all starts. So lots of atmosphere going along across the evening, and of course massive market out on Broad Street as well. So lots to see and do.
And the market's here both days, isn't it?
Yes, here both days, and they're busy setting up now. People are arriving as we speak, so we'll be all ready to go by 10 o'clock latest.
And what sort of stalls on the market?
Oh, a right mixture of things. So usual thing you find on a market on a Saturday, but also lots of crafts, lots of vintage goods that you can buy. Well, I suggest you come down and explore properly. There'll be lots of food, lots of entertainment right away across the town.
Excellent. It's all coming to life for Saturday morning. And Michael Cross, thanks very much for joining us.
No, thank you.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Well, if you got off the 504, which came from Peterborough, stopped at Stamford on Friday night, you might have seen someone who was dressed in Regency and has dressed in the Regency period since he was 14. You burnt your pair of jeans when you were a teenager. Is that actually true, Zach?
Yes, but it's now something that I sort of look back with sort of deep regret because it's really unsustainable and something that shouldn't be done, but it's that whole sort of teenage drama thing, which, it's a tagline that sort of people have sort of cottoned onto, as it were. No pun intended, they are denim. But yes, so it's sort of progressed from there, starting with sort of 1920s, then Victorian clothing, and then over the past few years it's been mainly sort of Regency, but then working my way back as well for Georgian, which is why this sort of coincides wonderfully with being here.
Indeed it does. And you run a business based on this. You run a tailoring business, which is all about this period.
I do indeed. So I run a bespoke tailoring business for making men and women's clothing from the 1660s through to about 1910, but specialising in the 18th and 19th centuries.
So are we talking hand-stitched?
Hand-stitching where appropriate, which is generally about 90% of the garments. So I do garments that are completely hand-sewn, but completely depending on client's budget. But generally things are construction seams, basically like the long seams, sleeve seams, such and such. They're done by machine, but everything else is done by hand. And it's not just the exterior seams that you might see. There's lots of internal pad stitching, facing, stoting, felling. None of it's quick. It all takes a lot of time.
And so many people know you off social media, off Instagram, and
it's been a bit bizarre, really. It's exploded somewhat. In fact, as I got onto the train from Peterborough, a lady with a large case who was Chinese said, "Oh, you're really big in China right now." What, really? Because I haven't had much sort of communication with people in China, but a lot of communication with people in Japan, South Korea, all over the world. I've had fan mail from Iran. It's really bizarre.
Stamford, you've got off the train, you're at Stamford Station at the moment. Have you seen the town? Have you been to the town? Do you know anything about it?
So I went to the town a few years ago, can't rightly remember, but yes, no, it was lovely, but it was absolutely chucking it down because it was in November and I didn't really get to see the town. I think I jumped into a tea room, went to a few antique shops, and sort of went back home the next day. So hopefully going to be quite a different experience this weekend, especially as with it being a festival, everyone's out in the streets and everyone is having a good time, hopefully, and fingers crossed the weather stays all right.
It's just brilliant to meet you here in Stamford. Thanks for joining us on Rutland
Radio.
No,
thank you very much.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.